And then what I want to do is we gotta get Rick going. I just hope Substack catches it, because if it doesn't, then we're just gonna have to go the old way, and then I'll do it tomorrow.
I mean, you are showing live.
Oh, I am?
Yeah. Lisa's there. She says hello.
Oh shit! Where's the? See, that's the thing. I don't have the link. I don't have the link to my own live.
Oh my goodness.
That's like crazy. So where? Can you send me the link? Yeah, here we go. So let's get Rick in here. I don't have the. I'm not getting the. Shit. I'm not getting the. Can you send me the link to the live?
I did in the private chat here.
Oh, in the private chat. Okay, cool. There we go. There. Oh, okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Well, as long as I can see it, I mean, I'm good, right? I don't give a shit. So. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Now we have a Rick.
Hi, Rick.
Hey, how are you?
Okay. Good. So we're on Restreamer for this.
Oh, okay.
So don't pay attention to the chat. We worked this out earlier.
Okay, I absolutely will not pay attention to the chat.
Yeah, don't pay attention to the chat. But I got a present for you.
Okay.
You're gonna love this. So here we go. I did this just for you, Rick.
Uh-oh. Love it. That is awesome, man.
Yeah, I did that just for you, Rick. So you better be happy.
I'm thrilled. That is fantastic. Thank you so much. Wow. Got the crawler and everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Now,
great.
are we live yet with
the? We're totally live. So
okay.
So here's the deal. Pay attention to the restream window. Don't pay attention to the. Don't pay attention to the Substack window.
Okay.
I mean, unless you want to keep up with the chat and Substack, that's where you're going to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, you keep up with the chat in that window, but don't keep up with the other shit in that window.
Got it.
And you'll be okay. So, all right. Anyway, so, and now we have Aaron. So, I'm gonna drop the link to Aaron, so that we can get Aaron in here, and then we can just go through today's shit, because today's shit. Today's shit was not. All right, today's shit will
be out in 5 minutes. We're awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are just gonna be filling me in because I haven't been paying attention to anything. I'm jet lagged.
Oh, it's not. Oh, look, I promise you, Trump called up 800 National Guard troops to DC to take over the police.
Yeah, and that was totally necessary, right? I mean, the crime stats, just speak the whole story, right? 25% down year over year, and he's picking a fight with that guy that was named Big Balls from Doge, right?
Yeah.
So that guy showed up in the police report, and suddenly it became a national emergency. It was just an excuse. I know it was not. It was all fabricated bullshit. But in any case, I just was in disbelief of the whole shit show. So,
I mean, I wrote a bunch of takeaways about it, and I mean, it's not great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sure. Oh, here we go. There's Elaine. We're gonna add Elaine now. There's Elaine.
Elaine.
Hello. Hey, Elaine.
So you heard us from before, right? Just pay attention to that window and not the chat window.
Wasn't there already 3 people in here, though?
Yeah.
No, we're using a new technology where we
Well,
can
no,
get-
I caught that, but wasn't there? I'm sorry, wasn't there already 4 people in here?
No, there wasn't.
Oh, okay. And then I'm losing.
So anyway, so yeah, shit. So it's a major assertion of federal power for fucking Donald to pull this bullshit off.
Yes.
You know, the
I wonder
Department
if
of
he
Nat-
realizes how many National Guard people are Latino and Latina. Does he
Right.
really think they're going to, turn on their own people?
I think he
Well,
thinks that, yes.
Yeah, I think he's got some delusions of grandeur running around in that.
My ex is in the National Guard, and she says she would resign. She'd tell him to get stuffed before she'd follow an illegal order, and what he's ordering is illegal. So
Yeah, go ahead.
Steve Uppendale talking about Dean Cain. Here's the thing about Dean Cain. If Dean Cain joins ICE and the deportation crowd, guess what? At his age, it might get him killed.
you can hope. I'm telling you, I'm just living for the day that Donald Trump bites it. Can you guys imagine that fucking internet is going to be a party the day he finally bites it?
It's quite possible it will melt down. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, it's going to turn into a global fucking meltdown. It really is.
Did you guys read the Opinionated Ogre today?
I haven't caught up on his shit.
He had a really good piece today about, I think it was the Washington Post had an article about, Trump hasn't chosen his successor yet. And the ogre's like, he's not going to have a successor. Hitler didn't have a successor. And it was weird because I'm listening right now to an audio book, and it's a biography of Joseph Goebbels, who would have been Hitler's successor, except that he never made it out of the bunker. He and his wife and their 6 kids, they all committed suicide. Well, his wife killed the 6 kids.
Right.
Anyway, I mean, he knew that he wasn't going to have any future if he tried to, stick around. So
yeah, that was absolutely true. From the historical perspective, it was kind of.
I mean, there's nowhere to go from.
No,
there's nowhere to go from where Trump is.
If Trump dies,
J.D. Vance doesn't have the balls to do anything.
No, because if Trump dies, MAGA dies with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, we could talk about that. So I have an opinion that maybe is a little different than that. So basically, mine is built on the idea that Trump likes to pit people against each other in these competitions for these roles, right? So he's done it with the future Fed guy, that Kevin Hassett, and the Stephen Moran. He's got those 2 guys going at each other's throats for that job. And then in the VP spot with Vance, and then the successor spot to him, I think he's tried to pit Vance against Marco Rubio. And my reasoning for this thinking is that Rubio is going to come out on top of it. And let me just finish this one thought. And the reason I say that is because typically, if you look at the succession of nonviolent situations, the person after the first one, like so Trump, the one after him, has to be kind of a personality blank slate that people can just project their own remembrances of the previous guy onto, and then you end up with somebody who's got a fighting chance, or supposedly is going to be a decent successor to him. So that's the idea. That JD Vance does not have any of those attributes, and I don't think he will ever. But since January 20th, Rubio has converted from being a very staunch critic with an almost idiotic amount of history on the web left around that you can go get today that criticize Trump heavily. And then after January 20th, he's just become the guy that Trump just dumps stuff on to get stuff done. So, yeah, I don't know if that's a for sure or anything. I'm not positioning it like that, but I think if there is anybody right now, it'd be between Vance and Rubio, and Rubio's probably in the running, in front of the pack as far as that goes.
Yeah, I think you're very correct about that.
Okay. Well, I really did want to water test or stress test that idea with you guys, because that's wrote an article on it. I was like, if you've ever written and you're like, yeah, you're hitting that publish button and you're like, I don't know how this is gonna go. Like, I got a lot of feedback on there that made me stop and take stock of my life insurance and all that. So it was a little bit controversial, because the MAGAs always come out of the woodwork and find me, just like they do you, Wendy, I'm sure, and anyone else here. So yeah, it's those guys are always looking to shoot fire hoses at me.
Yeah, I've had to block several people.
If they come after you, Rick, they're going to come after me.
Yeah. We're kind of linked together in that not only the cosmic way, but the Substackian way, where I'm not more than 2 clicks away from you at any moment. So
no, I mean, I completely agree. But so the other thing is that the DC mayor freaked out about it.
Yeah, so tell me about it. Tell me about that, because I heard that it happened, but the press conference I saw was a recap of apparently something that had happened, and I was not at all impressed with her presence of mind and or conviction. In other words, it did not strike me that she was coming across fired up and emotional about it, which may be a good thing, but I think this is a time, if your whole city is under siege from the federal government, to probably show some righteous indignation towards those guys, and be on the right with it. So I don't know. I'd love to hear what happened that you're talking about there, because she seemed kind of low wattage when I checked it out.
Before you answer that, hasn't the city government in DC, isn't that a relatively recent thing?
I'm gonna get this wrong, but yeah, there was this thing called I think it's called the home legislation. I could look it up here, but it was
the early 70s was when
in our lifetime. Yeah, it's all in our orbit here of between you and me. That definitely within our lifetime. So it was 1970s, I believe. And what that did was basically take the idea of the Home Act was to take the burden of governance, the day to day, off the Fed people, right? And the people whose jobs were not aligned with managing small, rural, metropolitan areas, excuse me. And so that's what that was created to do. And in time since then, it's been highly, it's worked very well. It's worked very well for the majority of things, but we are here where we are. The mayor, though, I'd love to hear Wendy, did you say you heard or saw or heard or read about a press conference where she?
In the press conference, Bauer said, "Here's what we stand for. Here's where we stand after today's announcement. We will follow the law, work with federal officials, and continue to work to do every single day the work we do every single day to keep DC safe, beautiful, and the best city in the world."
Okay.
Instead, I think I speak for all Americans. We don't believe it is legal to use the American military against American citizens on American soil.
No, it's not.
No, and it is not legal to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's what
the
I
other,
say. Those
the other
guards
thing,
are never going to turn against their own people.
Yes.
I also want to point out something that this is a weirdly, I mean, I think this is a whole for everybody. It's a weird experience, and here's why. This actually, when I started digging down into it this morning, went to write my daily article, I found out that this has actually been going on since the 5th of August, right? So that was when the wheels actually started spinning in the direction that we arrived at here today on the 11th, right? And in those cases, what was happening was there, the underlying police departments, and I believe there's well over a dozen and a half, so like 17 or 18. I'm sorry, not police departments, but federal departments. 17 or 18 of them. They've been, they were put on alert. This was going down. Then they sent out the FBI people to do street duty. I mean, this is not what FBI people go to school at Quantico and learn how to do, on foot policing with patrol officers. That's what they were asked to do initially, and now with the National Guard in it, the National Guard has no policing capacity or authority, right? You could stand there all day, you could spray paint a wall right in front of a National Guardsman, and most he could do is tell you to stop with waving his finger. He couldn't arrest you, and I don't think that's changed, at least in the hours since this announcement. Maybe it has, since it's all now pulled up to Trump, and it's been, the reporting structure seems to be a little bit different, but that I could be wrong about. So I'm really anxious to hear whether the mayor is actually going to put up some sort of a legal fight. That's the other thing I did not hear her say, was that she had retained any kind of counsel for the city, and had, was in talking perhaps with the Civil Liberties Union or anyone for that matter. And it was a little bit disturbing that was all dial tone, that was, and that might have been like, hey, protecting my own neck type of self-interest, but it was also we're all looking at this, I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, folks. We're all looking at this through a lens of, this is a template. This is a and what do they call that? A dress rehearsal for the real show that is going to be New York City. It's going to be Los Angeles V2. It's going to be Chicago. It's going to be Atlanta.
Let me stop you right there.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Following government documentation, a National Guardsman cannot arrest a civilian under normal circumstances.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have no general law enforcement ability or authority. During a federally declared emergency or martial law, however, when specifically authorized and acting under military orders, they may detain somebody, but they don't have the right to arrest them and incarcerate them.
Right. Okay.
But it requires a very explicit legal authorization and is not routine guard duty.
Right. Now, I'm going to hit the way back button here for a lot of people and go recall an experience that I had, which was when the National Guard was activated on a semi-national level, and that was after 9/11. If you remember, I was one of the crazy idiots that had to fly for work shortly after, and I'm talking like I think it was October 8th or 9th. After that, so the towers had fallen. The airports were like a ghost town. The ticket prices were through the floor. I remember all that. So I went up to go through security, and I'll tell you, the shit scared out of me in one fell move, where I saw a fully armed, fully dressed, I mean, big dude in camo carrying a semi-automatic rifle with his side, and it boggled my mind. I mean, it was terrifying, to be honest with you. When these guys go in full gear, it's one thing to look at them on the TV, when they're this big, But when they're in life, I'll tell you that for me was one of the first times it was so shocking because I was just turned the corner and expected to see police officers there, and instead I saw the military. And I think this points out another level to it I wanted to bring to light, which is this is psyops. This is psychological warfare on a level to condition us to respond a certain way. And I'll shut up and let somebody else do the talking, but I want to say I'd like your thoughts on that what does it mean, in other words, so after we've been living like this for a month, how do things look? Is it now we're numb to it and now we're accustomed to it? Because I'll tell you what, it back in 2001 when I when I ran into one of those dudes patrolling, it was a pretty scary sight, and not a thing I'll soon forget ever. And that's whatever.
Was that military or was that Sky Marshal hired by the?
That was military. That was National Guard.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's not to say that the other people were there, and the other people were checking my luggage and so forth, all that. But these guys were stationed at like entry points right around corners into the terminals at the airport that's near me. And so when you would turn a corner or you'd enter one zone or leave another zone, it was true on the return trip when I exited out.
Okay. So you're talking about inside the airport. That's what I was confused about.
They were in the airport, and they were standing there with guns. So that alone was an intimidation thing for me. And at the time, probably justified. I don't know, but I didn't soon forget it. I just think there is still psyops here. I think we're playing a mind game. And as I listened here, my other comment that goes paired with that is that I listened to Donald Trump's rambling press conference this morning that started late, and I thought that guy has lost it. I mean, I literally had that feeling, like it almost seemed to me like if a cane would have come out, like those old vaudeville acts, it came around, yanked him on the neck and pulled him off. They would have done that because his handlers, he was talking crazy shit. What? But he was talking this crazy shit at some points. It was like, it's the worst crime in the history of, the history of all crime. The whole city population is dying every 8 hours, and we have mass graves. Oh my God, and everybody's kind of like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? At least
I'm talking about he's gonna take the homeless. They have to leave.
Where the fuck
they're gonna be fucking boxcars or something.
You got to hold it up for a second. I got to run to the door. Keep talking.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
Homeland Security probably. Shit.
Yeah, I mean, are they going to take? Am I going to have to nestle, in bed with an alligator down inside of a tent somewhere in the Everglades tonight, or what the fuck if I'm homeless? Right. I've lived in cities where the homeless are a fact of life, and I'll tell you what. First of all, they're not easy to move. Second of all, I mean, they're not cooperative people. A lot of them have very, very severe mental illness. Third of all, that they have nowhere else to go. So if you tell them to get out, they're just
where are they supposed to go? Yeah.
Right. They'll set up camp right down the street. We had a situation when I lived in Seattle where these fuckers were, I mean, just everywhere down this one particular street because it ran under an underpass. And so they had an encampment there that was when the police went in to try to get them out. It was like a chaos central. They had it on the nightly news, and it was just absolutely, it was a shit show. So, but they did eventually get him out. It took about a week to get everybody to move, and that's why I thought it was really wild for Trump to say, "Oh yeah, bang, slap, clap, we're gonna have them all gone here. You just stay put. We're gonna put you in." And I thought, where the fuck are you gonna put these people? And you're gonna use all that real estate that Doge freed up earlier in the year by just canceling contracts left and right, and now we've got a bunch of business, open building space that has no other purpose. Is it converted for human use at that scale? I doubt it. But
It ends like that.
what I can't see if do any people have comments or stuff because I can't. The way I'm set up right now, I can't see any of that. I don't know.
I'm watching the comments, Rick.
Okay.
You're good.
Yeah, I can't see him either. I didn't download any app. I just am doing this through a browser because
That's what
fine.
everybody else is doing.
yeah.
I'm kind of curious, like, back when the protests, when Trump had his military parade, and I feel like Democratic groups were like, stay out of DC, don't show up there, go literally anywhere else.
Right.
And now this is happening. It's almost like Trump is stepping into spaces where people have accepted that they won't put up really a fight. And because it's like, in the comments, people are like, if he goes to Seattle, if he goes into LA, parts of Texas, Phoenix, people will show up and fight back. I mean, I've seen things from Tucson. I've seen anywhere you have a lot of like immigrant communities, there are people that show up. And so it's like he's toying with people, but he's doing it in like the weakest way. Because I feel like DC has kind of been ceded to where people are like, we're not going to go there. We're not going to, try and ruin things for people. And so Trump is stepping into spaces that, are kind of a vacuum anyway.
For sure, Aaron. I think that is a great point because if you look at just like the psyche of that city, they are the ones that went through. Well, like way long, hit the way back button. They had the Pentagon attack hit there. Okay, then they've also had January 6th when the whole Capitol got locked down. Now they've so they've been pulverized a couple times by the military just showing up. And I think your point is really, really valid because what does somebody this is now their third go around with it, let's say on an average 40-year-old person's life, I'll spit that sentence out, that this is their third or fourth time going around with the military being there with that big presence, etc. Right? So it's gotta be like you said, just sort of like a rinse and repeat experience in a way for them, just to stay out of the way. Right now, though, the other thing is I don't see, and as of when I wrote my article and published it about 8 this morning, there were 0 Republicans in all of Congress who had stood up to say anything about this being wrong. And then there were a handful, I'm talking like, this many fingers at that moment. I don't know what's changed. I'm sure it has through the day, of Democratic lawmakers who were standing up saying that this was bullshit and that there should be legal action being taken. Yeah, Wendy, sorry.
So Jack Reed, that's Jack Reed from Rhode Island. He said Trump's ever-expanding use of the military for domestic matters is beyond alarming, and it needs to be made illegal. And Reed had cited as a precursor to Trump's deployment of the National Guard into LA earlier this year, saying to deploy U.S. military forces on American streets for inflammatory and political reasons is bullshit, and it should never happen. And the fact that it is happening is very difficult. Now, Patty Murray from Washington accused Trump of being an incoherent wannabe dictator.
Incoherent and wannabe. I agree with all of that. Yes.
And so then the other thing that so then Cory Booker said that using U.S. military forces to enforce policy agenda on American soil is such a gross abuse of power that it reeks of authoritarianism, and he needs to be impeached.
Yeah. I think there are multiple pathways through the Constitution that we could go to look at, removal of this guy, but I don't think the political will is there yet, because I don't think two things have come to my mind about this in previous conversations with this group, or with you, Wendy, and the folks here, is first of all, it's not painful enough yet for us to really start to, like press these guys' toes right onto the burning burner and say, our shit is so hot, it's on fire. Why aren't you doing something? That's part one. And then part two is that there has to be some defectors among the Republicans who come over towards the Democratic side, or if they don't want to go independent, at least people who can articulate a sentence that does not support Trump or objects to what Trump is doing and steps out of party lines. I just think that's so. To me, I am in actual awe that we have gone 7 months into this presidency with no Republicans basically saying, "Hey, you know what? F this. I'm out of here. I mean, I'm out. So this is too wild and too crazy. It's too Project 2025-y. It's too authoritarian. It's too so many things that I just, I didn't sign up for all this shit. So I'm out, and I'm running as an independent." Especially after the One Big Beautiful Bill blah 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 Act passed, and they had to go home to their constituents who were awaiting them with napalm and flamethrowers and grenades to tell them to go run, because we're gonna tar and feather you and send you out of town. I think that's what happened, and I watched a couple home excuse me, during the recess that they're in now. They've gone back to their home states, and every one of them that's stuck their neck out, not a one of them that's had the guts to do that. And I'm saying that nicely, the guts to do that has had anything except a reception of absolute fury awaiting them from their constituents. So I cannot understand if the end game here is basically for Trump to say, yeah, I'm going to take control of all this shit. And oh, by the way, by the time we get to November 2026 and 17 months or whatever it is, we're gonna declare martial law in all the big cities, and we're gonna do some other fancy stuff, and we'll never have another election. Remember what I said way back on the campaign trail? We'll never have another election. Well, this is the promise fulfilled. Promises kept, promises fulfilled, or something like that. Whatever, however you say it. Right.
So, all right, Wendy, stop with those fucking crawls.
Oh my God. I didn't even notice that. Holy crap.
Oh, I'm just having too much fun. I mean, come on. There,
that's good. Wow.
Well, the other thing I saw today and I'm trying to remember whether it might have been Roy Adroso. It was either Roy Adroso, Jeff Tiedrick, or the opinion. Mondays are crazy for me, so I don't always get to read everything on Monday. And I'm sorry I was only there for like 2 minutes of the midday one, but I had somebody come up to my desk like 2 seconds after I logged in. So anyway, somebody had listed like the top 10 crime, the top 10 cities as far as crime in the United States.
Yeah.
And Kansas City, Kansas, where I live, which is the poor side of town, and Kansas City, Missouri, on the other side of the state line, were both on that list.
Right.
And whoever it was saying, what's he going to do? Is he going to activate the National Guard in all those places? I
mean, here's the thing. Yes, the problem is, so that was the fourth thing to come out of this is, where do things go from here? And so the obvious question is whether Trump will fulfill the demands of the House Rule Act in terms of informing Congress about the reasons for his decision to take control of the police and ceding back control of the MPD after, and get this, so the Home Rule Act says 30 days.
Right.
Yeah, 30 days.
Built-in timer. Yeah.
You have a timer. You got 30 days. You can't sustain that.
Indefinitely.
That makes you a dictator, and you're basically turning the National Guard into brown shirts or whatever. Fuck that shit.
He can't run for a third term either. He's really going to pay attention to that.
So, yeah. I mean, hopefully he's just fucking dead by then. I mean, like fingers crossed so hard.
Just honest to God, Aaron, would you just say what's on your brain and just come out with it for fuck's sake, okay? Oh my God.
I mean,
hold me over. You've been quiet for 5 minutes, and then bam. All right.
Well, we're not doing well at letting her get a word in edgewise.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, because I am worried about the elections, and it's like, hopefully he's just fucking dead, and then things unravel from there because he doesn't have an heir. They're like, no one can pick this up where he's left it off.
And why was nobody on the roof? That was the. I mean, seriously, why was nobody on that goddamn roof? That was our chance right there. Orange pancake for breakfast, right there, and nobody was ready for it. What the
Did you
hell?
ever see that movie, A Kiss Before Dying, from back
Yes,
in?
of course.
Not the one from the 90s, but the one back in the 50s. It was
I didn't. Tell me what happened.
Joanne Woodward and I can't remember who played her husband.
That's okay.
Anyway, yeah, there's a scene where she's on a roof and he's sitting behind her, and it was Ira Levin's first. I think it was his first novel, and she was pregnant, and he was going to be forced to marry her, and he didn't want to.
Right.
So he pushed her off a roof. So
okay.
yeah, when I saw the White House roof last week, I was like, God damn, where's that one dude? We need him.
So here's the larger problem I have. So he has 30 days. Then he has to explain why he's done it. And then another issue is where exactly the National Guard will be deployed. Trump is focused on tourist-friendly areas being besmirched by crime. But in fact, Washington's worst crime rates by far are found in the economically deprived neighborhoods over across the Anacostia River.
So
far from where all the tourism happens.
I wanted to jump in on that because you reminded me of something. So I think I've told this story and I'm not going to retell it now, but in twice in high school and twice in my undergrad studies, I had the opportunity to go to Washington D.C. and work as a as a volunteer, because I was at the time I was in the church, and that's what we did. And I will tell you what, the DC that has the crime problem and the DC that is the monuments are two different worlds with like you said, a river that runs between them, and they're radically different for the simple reason that they basically goaded all these people into these sections of that town that are have older homes, so they're economically depressed. There's poor black populations in there, or heavy black populations in there, heavy now there's heavy Hispanic populations in there, and those are nowhere near the tourists at all. So if Trump, and the other thing was a comment I think it was the mayor made yesterday, was that Trump in his entire existence in 2020, whatever it was, 2017 through 2021, his entire existence was basically confined to the helicopter, the plane to Mar-a-Lago to go golfing, and about a 2-block visible radius around the actual White House. And he never really veered out of that orbit of those things. So he has no idea. And it wasn't until, and I was a little shocked to know this, that after he got out of office, he didn't come back to Washington, D.C. until I think he had to answer some charge against him. And I apologize, I don't remember what it was for, but he had to take a car through his motorcade, had to go through the city, and they passed some ugly looking shit on the way, and he made some big comment about and it got recorded somewhere that everything just looked like crap and it wasn't the way he remembered it. But the actual fact was he had never been there, he had never seen it, he had never toured it. And he was at that time, he was already generating those filler memories that dementia will do for you for free, and filling it in with movie scripts of things that just never happened. So
yeah, who's that sound like?
What?
I said, who's that sound like? Remember when Ronald Reagan was telling some bullshit story about a pilot
I'm waiting for
killed in
somebody.
World War II? It turned out to be from a fucking movie.
That's great. But
you're not wrong about that.
No.
It's kind of a scary thing. I think about it now, and I'm like, well, okay, so what is it? And this is where my head exploded today. If any of you read my comment, I posted a screed right on Wendy's page there because I was so pissed. I mean, I wasn't pissed. That's the wrong word. I was wound up. That's the right word. I was wound up because I had been on a center. What is it called? Democracy. I'm trying to remember the name of the Substack, but anyway, one of these ones where they did a live session kind of randomly, and there was sorry for me using this language, folks, I apologize, but there was a kid, which to me anybody's in their 20s is still a kid. So there was a kid on there who was the moderator, and he was reading the comments, and the direction the whole conversation was taking about Washington D.C. was basically, okay, at what point do we take, or consider that Trump has crossed the line that we're all going to stand up against and uniformly rebel against. And I wanted to hop in and say a bunch of things, but I wasn't live in that thing. I was confined to the comments, so which is fine, and probably for the better. And the other thing was okay, what are we going to do when that line is crossed, right? What does revolution look like? And as I sat there and listened to this, it was like, I have an analogy that I used to tell my mentees, which is, I would hand two brilliant people a set of chisels and a block of wood, send them into a wood shop and say, okay, find me a way to roll this box from point A to point B. And one of them would carve out, ding, 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 a round wheel, and the other was ding, 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 come a square wheel. And we would go test it, and we would test it again, and we'd have other people come in and look at it, and they would agree that the round rolls better than the square. My point in that is that we just wasted all that time and energy resolving a problem that's already been solved a zillion times when it comes down to how do you fight this kind of a situation. And the only tool, and we can rationalize our way through it, but I'll just throw the gauntlet down, is economics and psychological warfare. Those are the two things that we will not end up as red paste on the concrete by the government that we have in our power to control. In other words, unified economic action that will send the stock market reeling. Just because all of a sudden they'll wake up to the fact that if we are unified enough to just even move something 1%, that'll scare the shit out of the institutional investors. And number two is the psychological part of it. If we just don't talk to MAGA at all, and we just cut off all communications and make that the policy, so to speak, that's just one option. There's lots of other ways to attack the problem. I'm not an expert in that area, but we only really have two. Military, we're never going to fight with guns. We're never going to, we won't even have the opportunity. We'll get obliterated into dust by the time we even get out to load the first chamber. And, we don't have cannons or drones or military training and any of that. That's all, forget it. So what's left? What's left is the psychological aspect of war and the economic aspect. So I'd love to, get you guys' thoughts on that. But I tried to get that out in the discussion today, and it was like they were still stuck on solving how can we express ourselves in a nonviolent or violent way? What does it take, and where is that red line? And
right.
So please help me with what you would say or what you think.
Here's the thing. I mean, we're dealing with Trump. There is no red line.
I think there's a bunch of different red lines.
No, there's not a red line. You know where the red line is? Him down under the White House. And him sitting with Melania and telling Melania that he was just trying to do the right thing. And he couldn't, he can't understand why nobody didn't see what he was trying to do. And then him, depriving us of his existence, basically. Yeah.
Right.
That's the red line.
Okay. Well,
please deprive us of your existence.
Right.
Please. I beg of you.
End up in a ditch and covered in petrol on fire. Yes. So
Steve, I wanted to get we didn't let you talk, and so I wanted to hear your thoughts about all of this.
Well, thank you. So I mean, I think Rick mentioned it earlier, and other people is like, when's the red line? When's this and that? And Republicans this, Republicans that. All they do is they strategize seemingly between Collins and Murkowski, and maybe one more of who's going to do more than a soundbite and actually vote no. And it's always
Right.
one vote short. It's always one vote short. So for anything to actually happen or to stop from happening, we need 5 Republicans with a set of, a spine between them, balls, whatever, guts, whatever you want to say. We need 5 Republicans because 1 or 2 of them are going to cave because they're nothing but jello in their spine anyways. But so it doesn't. Why would Republicans start now? I mean, hopefully this month off in August they get yelled at and screamed at, and not so much. I think only Flood. I think that dude had in Nebraska. He's dumb enough to have a town hall, but nobody else seems. But nobody else seems to be, having the guts to do it. But they get yelled at McDonald's or the state fair or whatever the hell they, DoorDash everybody yells at them. Who knows? But hopefully this month off, and then they come back, and if 5 of them got together and said, you know what, enough of this shit, that's the only thing that's going to make a difference. Because until then, we're, and the Supreme Court, at least 6 of them are in his pocket constantly anyways, or in front of his pockets, who knows. But so until 5 Republicans or so stand up and say this is bullshit, the Constitution is a Constitution, or Epstein is Epstein, or whatever is their land, whatever their constituents are yelling the most about, whoever's scared the most of losing the next election.
Right.
That's the only thing that's going to make a difference. Because I mean, we can't keep having. I mean, and Murkowski is desperate because she was the final vote on the bullshit bill. She and Collins are like, they're like twins or something. They have to get their sound bites. They have, because there's the whole moderate Republican is bullshit. The moderate
What
Republican
did you say,
is
Steve? About you said the whole blank Republican is bullshit. What was it?
moderate.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because a moderate Republican is a weak ass Democrat. That's basically like John Fetterman, for example. Sorry, Aaron.
Oh yeah.
But
No, you won't find me objected to that. No.
but so the only moderate Republican is a pathetic Democrat who votes to censure Al Green or whoever, that kind of stuff. So there's no such thing as a Republican who's moderate, at least not yet. Maybe there'll be some, who knows? Maybe some younger Republican who doesn't know any better. I have no idea. But yeah, there's yet to be a moderate Republican since, I guess, Liz Cheney, maybe, but or one who doesn't retire, who stands up and does something and then doesn't retire like a wuss. So I don't know.
So did you hear about Mike Johnson?
What about? But I heard stuff about that asshole all the time. You got to be more specific, dude.
Right?
Yeah, he's a campaign finance violation. He's using campaign funds to pay for his apartment.
That sounds about right.
Pay for what?
He has an apartment in D.C., and he's been using campaign funds to pay for his apartment.
Well, at least he's using it for that and not abortions for his mistresses.
That's Texas. Come on.
Weed.
You're assuming he's not like gay. I mean, I've seen pictures of him on Grindr before.
Well, Johnson's not his real last name. Come on, it's like a stage name. Come on. What are the odds that the homeless start camping out at his golf course? How amazing will that be? Let's be honest. If they get kicked out of encampments, why not go to hole 9 or something? That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah,
that would actually be pretty.
Because I guarantee you, they'd be back in their encampments real quick. See, if they go to his golf course, they're going back to the encampments that night. So yeah,
for sure.
Wendy, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm having a hard time.
I started to read your Substack post today, and I was a little, how shall I say, worried. It sounded like you were having existential dread here at what was happening, and I felt bad at first, and I had to stop because I had to join this call. So I'm only about halfway through your article yet today.
I haven't really written about my son ever, and I don't know how many people know that we lost our 21-year-old son 6 years ago to what we very much believed was murder, but it wasn't investigated, and it never will be. And the grief that I felt, there's no comparison, obviously, but the grief that I felt when I was watching Donald Trump call the, when I was watching him call the troops to DC was so very similar. Like, we've lost something that we can't recoup. I mean, we're at a point, this is not, you can't go back from this. You just have to go forward and figure out a better way to do it. But that doesn't change the fact that it hurts. It hurts really bad. I mean, I grew up, I was born in 1968. My house, my childhood home was 4 blocks from Dr. King's church. I mean, I was right there in Atlanta. We did, and of course we were Mormons, and my mom didn't participate in things like that, but we saw them because I sat on the porch every day. I was on Ponce de Leon Avenue when I was a child. I watched the demonstrations. I saw the things that, I don't know, and it just seems like it's so futile to do this and have to fight again. I'm tired. And the only thing that the thing that keeps me going mostly is anger, sheer and unadulterated anger. I'm pissed. These are our rights. This is our country. I mean, I've been paying Social Security since I was 14 years old. I've paid taxes, since I was 14 years old. I mean, I have skin in this game, and to have someone just act like it doesn't matter at all because I don't have enough, or I'm not important enough, or they just simply want to have a power trip is, I mean, it's really kind of devastating. Anyway, I'm going to be okay. Writing that, I really didn't want to write that piece, but then when I did write it, I felt much better afterwards.
That's good.
And I'm going to be fine because I'm too mean to not be.
Good for you. We're glad you're too mean to not be, or whatever. Yeah, right. That's great.
Wendy, you're why I do a third of this fight. I promise you.
You're what? I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
You're the reason that a third of my fighting over this shit. You're one major portion of that.
I must return the compliment because, and again, I mean, we did this before. I was working in beauty shops in the 80s. I had friends that had AIDS when no one knew what it was, and we had to bribe. We literally had to bribe funeral home directors to take the bodies. And there was one in Alabama, a man of color, and he would take them, but it was costly, and we had to get them there. And that's some fucked up shit to go through, man. I don't want to go through that again. Why do we, I mean, I don't know. Anyway, I do know deep in my heart that good will prevail. I'm not sure it will be to the extent that we've known before, but I do know that it will be better. We can make this better. And just having this group and the people, the support and the ability just to unload. I can't afford a therapist anymore. So thanks, guys.
Amen. Hey, so I have a question, Wendy, if you don't mind. I want to
Sure.
ask you, which was as you're seeing this yourself and unfold. I had a picture of everything up to this point with Trump has been 95%, I'll say, between LA and Washington, D.C., in the two incursions of the National Guard has been nonviolent. My question, I mean, there's been some, a little bit here and there, but for the most part, it's not. Do you think it's going to be different? Let's say this is now the fourth week or the third week into the Washington, D.C. Takeover. Do you think that stability is going to hold of nonviolence, or do you think people are just going to get incrementally fed up with the bullshit of seeing these people in their life, to the point of just snapping? Do you think that there's going to be a thumb press that's just, this is too much and it'll just blow like a powder keg?
So I think we need to consider, first of all, the economic and the social network around DC. DC is not what you see on television,
right?
Just like you said. I mean,
Right.
it is. DC's a rough place. We've
Yeah.
It's not a great spot. There's 5 square blocks where you're pretty safe, and then the rest of it is
You're kind of
so
you're out there on your own. To a point.
Exactly. And I feel like the police in DC at this point are so focused on, just putting out the fire over there at the White House, that a lot of these people are going to be on their own, and they're going to be on their own under this rule of thumb that they didn't agree to. So
right.
Violence is the very last thing, because that's exactly what they want. I mean, you know that, and I want that. Or I don't want that. You know that, and I know that. They want people to rebel so that they can actually have a reason. Because right now they have no reason. There are no valid reasons for this to be happening.
Yeah,
one
that's
person
kind of the craziness of it, that the dichotomy that I just can't wrap my head around. It's like sandpaper in my brain, is the fact that, it's almost like they're, by saying we're gonna bring in this National Guard heavy presence, blah blah blah, turn in DC inside out and all that with law enforcement. It's almost like they're pouring the gasoline in a room where they themselves in DC, because these are the people doing it, are holding the match. And it sounds like it's that flammable, and all you need to do is drop it, the match that's lit, and boom, everything goes up. And that's where anybody's your thoughts on that. I just really appreciate it.
It's very much by design, just like everything else. I mean, they know how the American people are going to act. These people, they know. I mean, their figurehead is an idiot. The people behind them are really the closest thing to an evil empire, like Lex Luthor kind of bunch of shit that you can imagine. I mean, and they've got the money. So
yeah,
I really don't think we should pay as much attention to what he's doing as to the machination. Is it machination behind it? What's going on? Who is encouraging this, and why is this being encouraged? And at this point, the only way to beat them is from the inside, because should violence break off, and I fear very deeply that it will. I really do. And I'm very surprised that it hasn't already, especially with ICE agents going into places that, like Ohio, that have standard ground laws in which you have no duty to retreat. If someone comes onto your property, does not identify themselves, is armed, and makes you fear for your life, you have a right to defend yourself to lethal status. I mean, this is a law that we fought. I fought against this law because I thought it was ridiculous. But now it's here.
You never imagined the inversion of everything that's happened. It's like a craziness. But go ahead. Yeah,
they're not thinking this through. These people aren't super smart. I mean, they're evil, but they're not. And the reason they're not smart goes back to what you said. They don't have any life experience. None of the people rolling all this bullshit into a big doo-doo ball, they don't have any real life experience. They're just, they're looking at.
Right.
And I watched that. I went through this, by the way. Let me just run down my list real quick. When you ask when I sat and I stared really, really hard at all the different shit that's on fire right now, before we even talk about this particular DC problem, right? In Trump land, number one, you've got Epstein, right? We all talked about that to death. And we've got the failing immigration policy and the fact that it's hugely unpopular, right? So there's that. And then, sorry, let me scroll down here so I don't miss these. Then there's just the general approval rating, where his disapproval rating hit 52.1% in July, and his approval rate remained at somewhere in the low 40s. The healthcare and social program cuts through the Congressional Budget Office predicts between 15 and 20 million people going out. So there's that. Then Kristi Noem, there's two parts to that one. You guys might not know this. It is the most underreported freaking thing on the news today, in wide circulation, which is it was finally revealed through Office of Inspector General that she failed to disclose $80,000 worth of dark money that was distributed to her in 2023, and she didn't disclose it when she got the DHS head job. And her salary in 2023, to put that in perspective, was $130,000. And so 80,000 on top of that, that's more than half again, on top of it.
Right.
And it breaks about 4 federal statutes and about 2 state statutes, for which the maximum fine is $100,000 and up to 5 years in prison. And so there's that going on in Trump land. And then there's the economic fallout that everybody knows around the tariffs with respect and inflation. Inflation is up to 2.7%. And, the tariffs are just the tsunami of shit coming our way. We're just watching it advance towards shore. And so there's that too. So it's perfect time. You couldn't ask for a more perfect set of circumstances to convene for Trump to get the fuck out of Dodge.
Right. And one thing, just real quick, I want to make a point about all of these Medicaid people being kicked off Medicaid.
Uh-oh. Echo.
Yeah, it's Linda.
Uh-oh. Echo.
So I had an interesting. Wait a minute. Linda's reverb and.
Oh, good. Okay, I think we're good.
We're good. All right. So I had an interesting exchange, I guess, with someone on one of Melissa's posts about the $80,000. I make $80,000 a year, and I'm out of school, and I've saved $20,000, and I pay my student loans, and I don't understand why you people can't. So my comment was, those $80,000 a year jobs are drying up, even in the medical field, because without
And the tech
Medicaid,
field, I know that for sure too. So
right?
just
Without
that one right
Medicaid,
on
there is no money to pay these banging. You can definitely make $80,000 a year right out of school as an RN, but you go to a travel agency, and travel agencies pay classically double what staff members are actually being paid. But the thing is, in a lot of these little hospitals, there is you don't have the people to draw from. There's no staff. I mean, you don't
Right.
have an abundance, so they rely on these things. Well, when they can't pay the travel nurse wages and they don't have any other wages, they're gonna fold. And this guy was like, when would hospitals ever be at zero? And
Oh,
I'm like, I don't think you have any fucking idea just
no,
how precarious these
you're
hospitals
absolutely
are.
right.
I'm
They
from a
operate with less
level,
than grocery store margins. I mean, they're
right.
razor thin.
I'm from a level 1 trauma center that not only was that, see, here's another thing they're not thinking about. This was a learning hospital. We got grants. We got tons of grants.
Yeah.
It made our hospital like state of the art because we had these grants because we were a learning hospital, and
Right.
this is how it should be, right?
Yep.
Those grants are gone. They were like gone immediately. Like there's no more money. If you don't have the grants, if you don't have the Medicaid, if you don't have the nurses, absolutely your hospitals are going to go to zero. And you're going to be very lucky to be able to find any doctor who can afford their malpractice insurance when these dominoes start to fall. Because as soon as we stop having emergency care available, malpractice insurance is gonna, it already has with this administration. You can't be an OBGYN anymore and not pay 80% of what you're making on malpractice. And that's after student loans and such. But it is ridiculous.
And it puts people in such a, the whole I think the whole higher education world, and we could have a conversation another day about this one too, Wendy, too, well, both Wendy's, which is that, the higher education piece is going to go, I think, out the window here real quick. These Phoenix institutes, these names, all these online degree things, you might as well light them on fire or wipe your ass with them. That's my first reaction to it. And second of all, that is seriously, because you're only paying, the employer is only looking at that degree for what you did in a team and in a construct of a class doing specific types of work. And when you pull it all off at night and weekends and stuff like that, I'm so sorry if I offended anybody when I said that, but that honestly is the situation. Now you've added to it that there are predatory lenders that are coming after these students. One, two, that you get predatory universities that are coming after the students as well. And that is a dangerous and toxic combination, because if you have debt and you cannot pay it and you default on it and you're forced into bankruptcy, guess what? That is not dischargeable debt. So you cannot have that erased. And you will be paying that off until the fucking end of time. It some percentage at some amount for ever and ever and ever and ever. Amen. And
that's another point to them putting the your medical debt back on your credit record. People are going to stop.
They just started doing that, and it's like no notice at all, right? What the fuck?
They're going to stop because, I mean, fuck it. Why go? It's going to ruin you, right? Why should medical care ruin you in a country this abundant?
Yeah.
Well, I saw something. I'm trying to remember who. That's terrible. What I have read today, I can't remember who wrote it, but it was on Substack about all these people who, got STEM degrees and now they're going to be up the creek because they want to. A lot of those jobs are being phased out as they try and use AI to,
Right.
do them.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, and AI is still, I think, a year, 2 years away from some of the more complex problem solving type things. But whatever I think doesn't matter. What's real is what companies can actually put in place to save them money. And yeah, you're absolutely right. The high paying developer degrees, the tech degrees, the management degrees that come along with that. The nursing stuff is a big target. There's a lot of legal and paralegal type work that's evaporating under the market, and so a lot of people are just it's welcome to Starbucks or welcome to McDonald's. That's your choice, and which sounds
but
totally
who's going to
crazy.
be able to afford that when there's no viable income? I mean, they're not. This is not being thought through well.
At all.
None of it is.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I don't know.
And there are economists, just to we can talk about the details of it. I can get a little more prepared for another conversation, but there really are economists who have thought this through down to the nth degree. I mean, very detailed shit, where they can tell you at exactly what point in the economic cycle you'll end up with basically too much profit being demanded of the corporations and too little of the wages being paid to the workers in order for the workers to afford the shit that the manufacturers create, buy, or bring over. And they know exactly what that is on the aggregate level, and they even know it down to like the state and geography level, but they tend not to get so precise down to the individual level. They can't say you with this kind of a degree and this kind of education and this much money coming in and blah blah blah. They haven't run those models yet, but boy, do they know. And I'll tell you, it's a scary picture. It's a scary picture for all of us. It's like
it is.
Even if you're relying
on totally is.
Yeah, if you're relying on Social Security, wow, you are fucked. You're one of the first people I remember in the study that is the fucked over club because of the taxes that you pay on things, of the this bullshit about there not being taxes on Social Security, but it's expiring is a total farce. And it's going to come and go real quick. It'll be a blink of an eye, and people will watch that go and evaporate, and that will be the difference between survival and non-survival at an age when I cannot imagine what that looks like. I just can't.
Well, I mean, it's scary because I mean, I'm fighting for Social Security right now. My body is broken. I've been working since I was 14. I need that money. It's ridiculous that I have to be destitute for someone to give me what I've paid in for that many years.
That's right.
It's fucking insane.
And I want to say something, just one quick thing, and then I'll shut up about this. But there is a really great speech that FDR gave as a president, and he talked about this thing called the four freedoms, right? And he said these were very central to essentially, basically all humans, right? And he said the first is the freedom of speech and expression everywhere in the world. The second is freedom of every person to worship God in his own way or not at all, everywhere in the world. The third is the freedom from want. And this goes to what you're saying, Wendy, which in his terms translated means understanding economics, or the economics will secure people and secure countries for a whole lifetime based on their contributions. And then the fourth is, and this is something I just want to like staple to the White House front door. And the fourth is the freedom from fear, which translated into that means we are never dreaded to, we aren't worried about dying, and we aren't worried about getting killed by our own government. So I thought you might enjoy that. I just pulled that.
Send me the link. I'd like to read the speech.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll love it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but I do want you guys to know that I appreciate the fact that we come together and we look for solutions. We don't just bitch and moan. I like to wallow in my grief sometimes, and it's it's nice with a bottle of wine to wallow in your grief, but it
Yeah.
gets nothing accomplished, and we must move forward. I don't know what's going to happen from here, but I do know that I really, really, really appreciate the support. And I take everything that all of you say into consideration, because I believe that might be part of the issue that we have. We don't listen to each other. We have an idea of what should happen and don't open up to other ones. And so thank you for that, and I'll shut up.
It's like Fran Lebowitz says, Wendy, the opposite of talking is not listening.
Yeah,
The opposite of talking is waiting.
True.
We're right at the mark.
Okay.
For tonight, so but I'm going to finish with this. I have to tell you, Fran Lebowitz is one of my favorite lesbians of all time. Like, super. Oh my god!
I saw her first.
But here's the thing. Other than the fact that that woman is just a fucking awesome era lesbian, she had a career on Law and Order as a judge, and I always thought that was hysterically funny.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, completely hysterically funny. So I just want to tell everybody, we're not going to restream, which is what we're doing right now. I'm only going to do this, the restream motif that's going on here. We're only going to do this for paid lives. So if you're a paid sub, then you'll be able to come to this live and we'll be able to chat and have fun. But I wanted to do it tonight just to see what everybody thought about a larger audience discussion. Did everybody enjoy this?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Hopefully Substack doesn't ban me for doing it. We're going to find out. But anyway.
That would suck.
Yeah, that would really suck. But I did want to just get everybody's feedback really quick before we ended. We didn't have Brandon tonight. That's very sad because I really wanted some queer, wholesome goodness in the chat tonight, but it didn't happen. We'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
You don't think I'm wholesome?
Huh?
You don't think I'm wholesome?
No. You're
like a glass of tall, water.
Right.
Wholesome as can be, and well loved too. So that's
yes.
All right.
I think you're very wholesome, Elaine. I really do.
Yes.
I just think I think you're very wholesome. And I think you're lovable, and I think Rick has big balls energy. He probably doesn't know that.
I'm just seeing all this now. What's underneath the Aaron is a know-it-all one?
Rick has big balls
energy. Oh my god!
It looks like the Aaron one is covering up another one, maybe.
Oh, if you're looking on your phone, it's probably not phone oriented. So.
Oh, so I can use my laptop in this one.
Yeah. If we do a restream, if we do a restream, you can hit your laptop or whatever. That's fine.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons why I will tell you I did this for my gamer streaming at night.
Mm-hmm.
Because it actually works better, and I can hit multiple services. Twitch.
And where the hell is Craig?
It's Monday night.
It's Monday.
Craigers is never here on a Monday night.
Okay.
All right. Well, hey, I will.
I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Yeah, you take care. We look forward to talking.
Yeah.
It's strong, you guys. Thank you for
everything.
everything.
Thank
you.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night. Everybody, thank you. Stay safe. I love you all. Thank you for joining. I won't do my customary stream ender, but I'm thankful for all of you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming. Please keep coming. There are a lot of changes that are coming up on the pipe here as we try to keep the interest of the publication high, and so yeah. So I love you all and good night.